Hello everyone, this video is for those who have recently given their mains examination, have been shortlisted for the interview and have filled Delhi as their home state. This video will also be helpful for those who have completed their graduation or post-graduation from Delhi University, as there are chances that the board might ask you questions regarding Delhi. So in this series, we'll be covering 6 videos on different topics related to Delhi. One of the topic will be static in nature, for example, the history, the culture, the art and architecture, and other would be the current affairs related to Delhi, for example, the Central Vista project, the riots that are there, the oxygen crisis. So in 6 videos, we'll be covering most of the things related to Delhi. So let us begin with the first part. So as you can see on your screen, there are 2 maps here. One of them is a Delhi district map. The other one deals with the tourist places in Delhi. The first one we'll be covering when we'll be doing the demographic profile of Delhi. Right now we are concerned about the history. The other one we'll be covering when we are doing the art and architecture and the heritage of Delhi. So this map has been put as a reference point for you to understand where the current locations are as of now in Delhi when we'll be dealing about the history of Delhi, and also how the city expanded as a whole. As a matter of general knowledge, it is important for you to know that there are 11 districts in Delhi: North, Northwest, West, Southwest, South, Southeast, Northeast, East, and the special here is the New Delhi district, the Central district and the Shadra district. And Yamuna flows through the Central district, the Northeast district, Shadra district, East district and Southeast district. Without further ado, let's quickly jump onto the history of Delhi, which is our main topic. The earliest reference to a settlement in Delhi area is found in the epic of Mahabharata in the city called Indraprasth, that is the city of the god Indra. This was built in about 1400 BCE, and the Pandavas and Kauravas are both the descendants of the prince Bharat. Now for the interview purposes, the board can ask you about the story of Indraprasth. By whom was it built? The story of 5 villages that Krishna asked to avert the war, and where exactly is Indraprasth located in the current Delhi. So Indraprasth is located here near the Purana Killa region, which would be basically between the New Delhi, East Delhi and South Delhi, Southeast Delhi, the Triad Junction area. Now the board can also ask about another city related to the same epic, Hastinapur. So Hastinapur is the current date Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. Please also take care of the fact that the current Indraprasth Park in Delhi, the IP Park, is also located close to Purana Killa and Humayun's tomb. So it will be located somewhere here. It is equidistant from the Purana Killa and Humayun's tomb. It is said that Delhi consisted of 7 major cities. The first city of Delhi was the Lal Kot, which started from a small village in Haryana called Anangpur. Now Anangpur was the capital of the Tomar king Anangpal I. Now Tomars were the heirs of the Pandavas. Tomar king Anangpal I is technically considered to be the founder of Delhi. He founded Delhi in 736 AD and ruled it till 1193 AD. So this is the longest rule that the capital witnessed. Now we'll try to locate Anangpur on the map. So we can see here Surajkund, and near Surajkund a dam was built by the name of Anangpur Dam. This is a small village in Haryana which borders Delhi. This dam was built by Anangpur Tomar, and his son Surajpal built the Surajkund Dam. Now the difference between Anangpur and Lalkot is that Anangpur was a small village in Haryana and Lalkot is believed to be the first city in Delhi. So Anangpal II built this city. Now there is a very interesting story about Anangpal II, that he brought the iron pillar from some unknown location and got it fixed in Delhi. The same iron pillar that we see in the Qutub Minar complex and call as the Mehrauli iron pillar was bought in by Anangpal II. And on this occasion, coins in the name of Shri Killi Devpal was also minted by him. So the Killi here stands for the iron pillar. Now the iron pillar was the center and numerous palaces and temples were built around it. And finally the fort of Lal Kot was also built around the iron pillar. Lal Kot was also Delhi's original Red Fort, and it was originally called the Qila-e-Mubarak. So the Red Fort that we see here eventually is also based on the Lal Kot city that was formed by the Anangpal II. After Lal Kot, Delhi was renamed as Kila Rai Pithoda by Prithviraj III, also known as Prithviraj Chauhan. So Prithviraj Chauhan was the maternal grandson of Anangpal II, the same Anangpal we've just talked about. So he took over the city in 1164 AD and built a citadel around it. He renamed it as Rai Pithoda, that literally means the fort of Prithviraj. The remnants of the Kila Rai Pithoda can today be found near Saket and Aurobindo Mark, somewhere near here. Now, for the interview purposes, you can also be asked about ancillary topics such as the Chauhan kings of Ajmer, the defeat of Prithviraj Chauhan by Muhammad Ghori, and the Second Battle of Terrain. In the late 12th century, Prithviraj III was defeated and the city was passed into Muslim hands. From 1206 AD, Delhi became the capital of Delhi Sultanate under the slave dynasty. The first Sultan of Delhi, Qutbuddin Aibak, was a former slave who rose through the ranks to become a general, a governor, and then the Sultan of Delhi. Qutbuddin started the construction of Qutub Minar and he also constructed the Quwat al-Islam Mosque. The area in which all this was constructed was called Mehrauli, which is also the second city of Delhi. He built it on the top of the first city. We would know about the Qutub Minar in the upcoming lectures, but one thing to be noticed here is that it is said that Qutbuddin Aibak destroyed 27 Jain temples initially housed in the Qutub complex, and the building material for such a mosque was used from the debris of these pillars. The Khilji dynasty came to power in Delhi in the last decade of the 13th century. During the reign of the Khiljis, the suburbs were attacked by the Mongols. As a defense against the subsequent attacks by the Mongols, Alauddin Khilji built a new circular fortified city at Siri. It was designated the Khilji capital. Siri was the first completely new city to be built by the Muslim conquerors in India. As we see, Mehrauli was built over the initial city by Muslims, but this was a completely new city to be built in India by Muslim conquerors. He also built the Alai Darwaza and the Alai Minar. One very interesting fact about Siri is that the city was built on a foundation of 8,000 Mongol skulls, which means Sir in Hindi, and hence the name Siri. The Mongols continued to invade, and when the region was passed into the hands of Tughlaq dynasty in 1321, a new capital was built by Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq at Tughlaqabad. This was the fourth city of Delhi and was built at a height to discourage the Mongols. But it was soon abandoned in favor of the old site near Qutub Minar because of the scarcity of water. So we see that Tughlaqabad was constructed by Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Now, Tughlaq Shah was murdered by his own son using elephants. His name was Jona Khan and he later took the title of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Now, Muhammad bin Tughlaq established the fifth city of Delhi, which was called as Jahanpanna. He connected the prior cities of Siri and Mehrauli. Now let us locate these cities in a map. The Tughlaqabad fort is here and the Tughlaqabad city was here. But when Muhammad bin Tughlaq moved the capital to Jahanpanna, this was here near the present day Greater Kailash. We've read in our history lessons that Muhammad bin Tughlaq was also called the Mad King. He took a lot of irresponsible decisions and one of them was shifting the capital from Jahanpanna to Deogiri in Daulatabad, which was in the Deccan. But after his death, his successor, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, shifted the capital again near Delhi to Firozabad. The Firozabad was situated in what is now called the Firozshah Kotla area of the contemporary Delhi. The Firozshah Kotla area is here between Rajghat and Dal Museum, right here. The Firozshah Kotla was a fortress built by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. A very interesting fact here is that the Firozabad included a pillar of Ashoka, which Firoz Shah spotted during a hunting trip to Punjab. It was mounted on a wheel cart that consisted 42 wheels and pulled to Delhi by 8,000 men and was re-erected in its present location in 1356. In the present day, there is a stadium at this place which has now been renamed to Arun Jaitley Stadium in honor of the former Minister of Finance of India. After Firoz Shah died, the Mongol Timur attacked Firozabad. He massacred everything and it took over 100 years for Delhi to recover. In the 16th century, the Mughals invaded India. The second Mughal Emperor Humayun built a city called Deen Panna, which literally means sanctuary of faith. The city of Deen Panna was founded in 1533 AD and it was built on the banks of the river Yamuna. It should also be noted here that Humayun's reign faced ups and downs and threats from inside as well as outside. His half-brothers Kamran and Aksari had joined forces against him. To make matters worse, Sher Shah had started a rebellion in Bengal. It is also rumored that Humayun got obsessed with astrology and stargazing and ignored the rebellions. Due to his opium addictions, his credibility as an able ruler had gone down among the members of his court. Sher Shah overthrew Humayun in 1540 and razed Deen Panna to the ground and built his new capital, that was Sher Shahi, which was then known as Shergarh. It also housed the Purana Killa fort. This was the sixth city of Delhi. Let us now locate Shergarh and Deen Panna on our map. So we can see that Deen Panna was somewhere here near Humayun's tomb, as it is said that Deen Panna was built near the river of Yamuna. So this is Yamuna flowing through Deen Panna. And Shergarh was built near Purana Killa. So this is Purana Killa and Shergarh was here. So this is Deen Panna and this is Shergarh. Now for the interview purposes, you also need to remember certain points. You need to read about Sher Shah Suri, who was a brilliant administrator, the currency of Rupiah that was introduced by him, the Grand Trunk Road that was built, and the postal and transportation services that he established. After Sher Shah Suri's death in 1545, his son Islam Shah took the reins of North India from Delhi. Islam Shah ruled from Delhi till 1553, but after his death, the Mughals found an opportunity to return. Humayun had regrouped a vast army in Kabul under the leadership of Bairam Khan and therefore was able to capture Delhi again. For interview purposes, you can also read about the Humayun's tomb, which we will be covering in our subsequent lectures. You can also read about the cause of death of Humayun. Now we introduce another character in our story, that is Hemu. So Hemu was the Prime Minister and Chief of Army of Adil Shah, who was the descendant of Sher Shah Suri. He defeated Akbar's army, who was the son of Humayun, at Battle of Delhi in 1556 and sat on Delhi's throne and established Hindu Raj in North India for a brief period. He was also bestowed with the title of Vikramaditya and his coronation was done in the Purana Killa. Now you need to remember here that there are only two Hindu leaders who could establish a rule in Delhi. One, as we have already seen, Prithviraj Chauhan, and the other one was Hemu. But Hemu was also defeated at the second battle of Panipat by Mughal forces led by Bairam Khan. This is the same Bairam Khan who helped Humayun too. The third and the greatest Mughal Emperor Akbar continued to rule from Agra, which resulted in a decline of the fortunes of Delhi. In mid-17th century, the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan built the city, which was named Jahanabad and was the seventh city of Delhi. It is also known as the Old City or the Old Delhi, and the city contains a number of significant architectural features including the Red Fort and the Jama Masjid. We'll talk about this when we do a lecture on heritage of Delhi. It also served as the capital of later Mughal Empire from 1638 onwards, when Shah Jahan transferred the capital back from Agra. Jahanabad was a city that was built very strategically. It was polygonal in plan and it was built on the banks of the holy river Yamuna. It had 14 magnificent opening gates. One interesting fact to note here is that Shah Jahan's beloved daughter Jahanara designed a major street called Chandni Chowk, which is very popular even in the contemporary times. This was designed in front of the Red Fort. It is a shame that the city that was built by Shah Jahan with all toil and sweat was piece by piece looted. Nadir Shah, the Persian, removed all the jewels and carried off the peacock throne, which was also known as Takht-e Khas. The Marathas from the west removed the silver from the Hall of Special Audiences. The British auctioned the gold from the Dome of Pearl Mosque, stole the marble and converted Red Fort into barracks. After Shah Jahan, Aurangzeb crowned himself as the emperor in Delhi in 1658 at the Shalimar Garden, which was also called Azizabad Bagh. After 1680s, due to the weak successor of Aurangzeb, the Mughal Empire's influence declined rapidly as the Hindu Maratha Empire rose to prominence. Now let us look at the location of Jahanabad in the map. So this is here. We can see the Red Fort. This is situated on the banks of river Yamuna, and hence Jahanabad, including Red Fort and Jama Masjid, can be found here. Since we've covered the major chunk of the history of Delhi, let us quickly go through the timeline once again. We see the first reference of Delhi as Indraprasth in Mahabharat in 1400 BC. Then we see that Anangpal I builds Anangpur, the small village in Haryana. Anangpal II builds Lal Kot. This is the first city of Delhi. Lal Kot is also the initial Red Fort and also called Qila-e-Mubarak. Then Prithviraj Chauhan builds Qila Rai Pithoda. Then Mehrauli is built by the Qutubuddin Aibak. Then Siri, built by Alauddin Khilji. Tughlaqabad was built by Ghyasuddin Tughlaq. Jahanpana was built by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Firozabad was built by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. It included the Ashoka pillar here and the contemporary Arun Jaitley Stadium, which is the renamed version of Firoz Shah Kotla. And then we see Humayun built Deen, which was built on the banks of river Yamuna, literally called Sanctuary of Faith. Then comes Shergarh by Sher Shah Suri. It also houses the Purana Kila, the old fort. Then Shahjahanabad by Shah Jahan. It also houses the Red Fort and the Jama Masjid. Now let us quickly also map all these locations. First we'll start with Indraprasth. We can find Indraprasth. This is between Purana Kila and Humayun's tomb. The second is Anangpur on the borders of Delhi. The third is the Lal Kot. We also find Qila Rai Pithoda here. Then the fourth is Mehrauli, which is near Qutub Minar. The fifth is Seri. The sixth is Tughlaqabad. The seventh is Janpanna, which is near South Delhi, here, somewhere here. Then the eighth one is Firoz Shah Kotla, which is equidistant from Rajghat and Doll Museum. The ninth one being Deenpanna, this is here. The 10th one being Shergarh, which is near Purana Kila. Deenpanna is near Humayun's tomb. Then the last one being Shahjahanabad. Now the common link that we see here, that most of the earlier towns or cities of Delhi were located near the Yamuna river. Before we go on to read about the Lutyens Delhi, we need to cover sequence of events that preceded such capital change. The first one is the First Battle of Delhi in 1737. So as we just discussed, that the Mughals lost their influence in the capital and was succeeded by the Maratha dominance. So the First Battle of Delhi was fought in 1737 and Marathas won the battle. The Second Battle of Delhi was again won by Marathas, which was fought against Najib-ud-Dawla and Rohilla Afghan army. In the intervening period here, we see that Ahmad Shah Durrani invaded North India. You must also take care of the fact that there was a time in Delhi when Sikhs were in the control of Delhi. So under the leadership of Jassa Singh Ahluwalia and Baghel Singh, Delhi was briefly conquered by Sikh Empire in the early 1783. The Third Battle of Delhi was fought in 1803 and it was also known as the Second Anglo-Maratha War. Now this was a decisive battle because it was fought between British East India Company on one hand and the Marathas on the other. Marathas lost their prominence in the capital and then Delhi came under the control of British East India Company, which made it a part of the northwestern provinces. The titular head of the capital was Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. One very important event that succeeded this was the Revolt of 1857, wherein the rebellion sought to end the company rule in India and mutineers reached and captured Delhi and declared Bahadur Shah II the Emperor of Delhi. However, the British returned and laid siege to Delhi. Thus, Delhi was fallen in hands of British again. Consequently, Bahadur Shah Zafar II was captured and exiled to Rangoon. Delhi was passed into the direct control of British government in 1857. As we know previously, it was being controlled by the English East India Company, but now it was under the direct control of British government. One important happening here was that in 1911, the capital of British government in India was shifted from Calcutta to Delhi. This announcement was made in Delhi Darbar, which was also during the coronation ceremony of King George V. For this, a new quarter of city was designed by architect Lutyens Delhi, and the same was inaugurated in 1931, but it is said that it was delayed due to the World War II. So let us now see the location of Lutyens Delhi on the map. Now this is the location of the Lutyens Delhi. Here we find India Gate, and then there's Rajpath, and then Rashtrapati Bhavan. So this picture will give you a better understanding of the Lutyens Delhi. Lutyens Delhi is in the heart of New Delhi. It has a sprawling layout and inviting avenues. Edwin Lutyens led a group of architects in laying out the central administrative area of the city, with the charge of retaining one-third area as green space. So we look at the different architecture of Lutyens Delhi. The first one is the Rashtrapati Bhavan. This was formerly known as Viceroy's House and is located on the top of Raisina Hill. The next component is the Rajpath. This is a path that connects Rashtrapati Bhavan to India Gate. This is India Gate. This Rajpath was formerly known as King's Way, and it connects India Gate, which was formerly known as All India War Memorial. Now here you can find Janpath, which was also formerly known as Queen's Way. It connects the Rajpath to CP, that is Connaught Place in Delhi. Now Connaught Place was built by Robert Torr Russell. Now this is the Parliament House. It was designed by Herbert Baker and is also known as the Sansad Bhavan. In the next video, we'll learn about the Central Vista project, where it is proposed to construct a triangular Parliament House so as to house greater number of MPs. This lies on Sansad Marg, which is parallel to Rajpath. Herbert Baker also designed the North and the South Block. This is the South Block, this is the North Block, which houses various ministries of Government of India. Other components of Lutyens Delhi, which are not presently shown in this diagram, are the Cabinet Secretariat building, the Lutyens Bungalow Zone, and the Teen Murti House, which was formerly called as Flagstaff House. In the next video, we'll cover about the Central Vista project, and we'll see how the government plans to redevelop and retrofit the entire area. Now let us quickly cover the last segment of the video, that is the origin of the name of Delhi. So our beloved city is called Delhi because of several reasons. One of them is that it is believed, according to myths and legends, that Raja Dhilu was the founder of Delhi. We've earlier learned that Anangpal was the founder of Delhi, but in some texts it is said that Raja Dhilu founded Delhi in 50 BC, and therefore Delhi is derived from the name of the king of Dhilu. Another story is that Delhi is derived from the word Dhili, which means lose. So it is said that this name was used by the Tomars to refer to the city because the iron pillar of Delhi had a weak foundation and had to be moved. There is one other story that the coins in circulation in the region under Tomars were called Dehliwal, that is the Dehliwal coins, and hence the name of Delhi was derived from those coins. It is also believed that Prithviraj Chauhan, who ruled Delhi after Tomars, was also called Dilpat, and hence the name of Delhi from the ruler. There was also a fort that was built by Prithviraj Chauhan. The fort was named Dehali, or it also means Dehliz. Dehliz means that Delhi was the threshold or the boundary of the Gangetic plains, and hence therefore it was called Delhi. So the origin of the name can be traced to Dhilo, Dhili, Dheliwal, Dilpat and Dehliz. That's it for today. So I hope you found this video informative. If you like this content, please give it a big thumbs up, and also do subscribe my channel and press the bell icon for further updates of the remaining parts. Please share this video with anyone who is giving any interview and has home state Delhi or wants to know more about Delhi. We'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.